Hello and welcome to Cafe DC. I'm Faiz Rahman and our guest today is Dr. Waqaruddin. He is the Director General of Arakan Rohingya Union and he's here to talk about the issue that has become an international human rights issue. Dr. Waqaruddin, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So let's just talk about what's the issue. Who are these Rohingya people and why it's such a big issue?
Rohingya people are an ethnic minority of Arakan state in Western Burma. They are Muslim population, or 100% Sunni Muslims. They are indigenous population in Arakan state, Western Burma, for many centuries, over thousands of years they have been living there. So they are Rohingya. Their Rohingya name comes from region Rohang. There's a region within Arakan state, the northern Arakan state is called Rohang. So the inhabitants, indigenous population of that region of Rohang is known as Rohingya.
Okay. And Arakan is the state.
Arakan is the state,
province.
One of the states in Burma, which is the western side of Burma, along the coast of Bay of Bengal.
Okay. So what's the issue? Why they're being persecuted, quote unquote?
Rohingya Muslims has long history in Arakan. As I indicated, they have their culture, they have their language, they have all cultural attributes that they are the local population. This is the problem is the xenophobic ideology of Myanmar government. They basically is anti-Muslim, anti-Rohingya sentiment. This is coming out of the basic philosophy of the Myanmar government as purity of race and religion. Myanmar government and radical elements in the country wanted Myanmar, Burma, to be a pure Buddhist state and purely Burmese Myanmar state. So, and they see that Muslim population, not only Rohingya, Myanmar Muslims also. That's another part in
so there are other Muslims as well.
Other Muslims
in the region. Okay.
Among the Muslim population in Burma, about 50%, close to 50% Rohingya Muslims. The rest of them are Myanmar Muslims, which are not Rohingya. So there have to be distinct, features between them.
So, Dr. Waqar, you said it's been sanctioned by the government. I mean, it's based on some state policies that these people who are indigenous Burmese Myanmari people, they're still, they're being persecuted because of their religion and their ethnicity. So does the world know about this?
World has come to know about this now, little too late. It has been going on since 1962. Then the ethnic cleansing, Burmese government policy against Rohingya to clean up the population with the genocidal policy has been implemented since 1962. And it has been going on for half a century without much notice by international community. And then when democracy came to Burma, transition to democracy, I should say, in 2010, and then these radical elements in the government and some of the radical Buddhist monks and others came to realize that, oh, there's a democracy, it will come with human rights, it will come with human dignity, these Rohingya people will get their rights, and they set up this situation of violence. So they set up a violence, pre-planned violence in 2012, June, and then they start killing Muslims, Rohingya Muslims, and then the violence spread throughout the country. And this 2012 and subsequent violence, also events of violence, 2013 has rendered 140,000 Rohingya people homeless. Their homes have been burned.
What's the population of Rohingyas?
Total population of Rohingya was about 3 million.
3 million people
in
Myanmar.
In Myanmar, in Arakan state. Of that, about 1.6 million has left. It has been scattered throughout the world, in the Middle East, in Pakistan, in Southeast Asia, in Bangladesh, and North America, Europe, is scattered throughout the world. That's 1.6 million. As of now, about 1.4 million still left. But Myanmar government claims this is only 800,000, 900,000. So they are downplaying the numbers.
Okay. So there's no official census?
Official census was supposed to take place last year. United Nations went there. Myanmar helped them with this project. And then when it came to Rohingya census population, Myanmar government dropped the ball because Myanmar government...
What do you mean drop the ball? I mean, they just stopped the census?
Stopped. Okay. The reason they stopped the census was that when the government made the agreement with the United Nations and other sponsors that all the ethnic minorities will be entitled to express themselves at their ethnic name, okay, describe who you are, Kachin, Kaying, Rakhine, Rohingya, all right? And then they had done all that. When it came to Rohingya, Myanmar government and reneged, said that no, Rohingya cannot write their own name Rohingya. So they reneged and then it got stopped and the census was not complete.
Okay. So there is no official census for some time?
There is no official census, but it's a good estimate that we have nearly 1.5 million, 1.45 million still there. This our sources. We have our own census, which is not official, but we know the number.
Lately, we have seen a lot of coverage in the international press, media, I mean, TV reports. So, do you think it has helped a little bit?
Tremendous! It's helped tremendously. See, after the 2012-2013 violence against Rohingya, international outcry became louder. So, a lot of movement in the international community. We have U.S. Congress last year, 2014, has passed a resolution on Rohingya, Resolution 418. We worked hard on it. We got bipartisan support in
and
the
what
US
did
Congress.
it say?
It said the Rohingya people are entitled to their citizenship back, return their citizenship that they had, all the basic human rights. The Burmese government must allow them to move freely, must allow them to marry without permission, like anybody else. Myanmar government should not enforce a two-child policy instituted only against Rohingya, only against for Rohingya two-child policy. Their education, their all other basic human rights, freedom to worship, to keep the masjids open. They shut down all the mosques and they will not let people pray. So the United States government, Congress was calling for to end all those violations and the Greek return, their citizenship, give them back their citizenship.
Okay, when you say citizenship, so they're not considered Burmese citizens? They don't have the passports? Even though, I mean, it's in Burma, it's in Myanmar, they've been there for centuries.
Rohingya people have been the citizen of Myanmar ever. Okay, and 1947 there was citizenship law. Okay, so Rohingya people were given citizenship like anybody else, any other ethnic minority. And then I have my own still. When I was growing up in 60s and 70s, we still have an NRC card. So in Burma there was not such a thing called citizenship card. There was a card called NRC card, National Registration Certificate.
Okay. And
for Rohingya it was like code AK or code MDW. Okay, so green color for male, pink color for female. Okay. So Rohingya had all full rights, okay? Until 1962.
Okay.
And 1962, the military government and Ne Win, dictator Ne Win, overthrew the civilian government, and then they start developing policies, ethnic cleansing, genocidal policies against Rohingya to eliminate the population.
So they took their citizenship away?
They took the citizenship away very
on what ground?
In a clever way. There's no ground. They didn't want this population Muslim to be there anymore, although despite their indigenous nature of long history.
Let us understand, how come if you live there, if you're born there, you don't have the citizenship of that country? You can't travel, revoked. You cannot have a passport?
It has been revoked. Okay.
By
the government. How is revoked? Not like all of a sudden in major operation to go confiscate all the cards. Not like that. It was subtly, it's surreptitiously, secretly over 2 decades, 3 decades. Each time a Rohingya will travel, they will stop at the checkpost and they check the card. Say, okay, come back to my office tomorrow. I have to check this. So that never That person went to the office, never gave it back. So that's slowly, and often, also there was an operation against Rohingya called Nagami NCCA. That means Operation King Dragon, very nationalist ideology.
When was it?
That was, I believe, that was in 70s.
Okay, in the 70s.
Late 70s. I have to check the date, because there are several of them. Galung CCA, Nagami CCA. So first one was in late 70s, I believe. As Nagami CCA, they have pushed out 500,000 Rohingya to Bangladesh, and they confiscated all their NRC cards. So many different ways they have.
So there are lots of Rohingyas in Bangladesh as well.
Yeah, in refugee camps, and they have since then, because of international pressure, Newin government, then Newin government, and repatriated about 250,000, and still there are there are about 300,000 still there. Only 38,000 are registered by international community. All the rest, over 250,000 Rohingya, are unregistered, undocumented refugee lingering in Bangladesh, their lives for many decades now. So that they have pushed out. That's how they confiscated the citizenship. They confiscated citizenship and did not give them back, and then finally they gave something.
They just don't issue them the documents to travel.
No document.
Okay.
And then each year, the government will send out the armed forces and go to Rohingya villages and check household member list. Anybody who is not at home, or anybody who is traveling to another village. If not, most of these are surprise visits. Remember that.
Yeah.
So,
Dr. Waqar, we have to take a very short break here, and when we come back, we'll talk more about this issue. So please stay with us. Don't go anywhere. This issue is very important, and we're just trying to learn more and more about this issue. Dr. Waqar is going to be with us after this break. Thank you.
There are atrocities committed to a point by the government forces. Forget about the radical Buddhist mobs and monks and others. Government forces have violated these human rights violations.
Welcome back. You're watching Cafe DC. I'm Faiz Rahman, and our guest today is Dr. Waqaruddin, Director General of Arakan Rohingya Union and a professor at Penn State. Dr. Waqar, welcome back. Okay, so we were talking about the citizenship being taken away from the Rohingyas, even though they've been here for centuries. And you're talking about these surprise visits by the authorities to these homes. So how does that happen? How does
so when they will give the visits, that the forces, Burmese forces, and officials visit Rohingya homes, they will check their family household. If somebody's not home, outside or somewhere, or travel another village, they'll cross the name out, trying to reduce the population. He no longer belongs to that family. He is not present at the time of investigation. So they've been doing that every year for decades. So that's how they are trying to reduce the population. And at the same time, there's atrocities. There are violations. There are atrocities committed to a point by the government forces. Forget about the radical Buddhist mobs and monks and others. Government forces have violated these human rights violations, committed human rights violations.
And it's a democracy.
It's a democracy now. They say democracy, but we don't see it. Okay. I call it Burmese way to democracy. Like when I was growing up, they used to say Burmese way to socialism. Okay, not the Chinese, not the Russian way to socialism. To implement dictatorship policy. It's a Burmese way to socialism was their motto when I was growing up. When socialism was, dictatorship came. Now doing the same thing. Burmese way to a democracy, that they are not conforming to international norm, a true democracy, giving all the rights to its citizens, dignity of the human beings, dignity of ethnic minorities. They are using democracy.
You have in terms of percentage, you have what percentage of population is Rohingya, and let's say Muslims first, and then
about I'd say estimated about 7 million and to 8 million population is Muslims.
Muslims, about 8 million, and the total population of Burma.
Burma is about 55.
Okay, so you're talking about good 15%, I would say.
Well, 12-15%.
12-15%.
Yeah, but you go to the media, Burmese media and Burmese government record, they will still show 4%.
4%.
That 4% was first reported in 1962 by Newing government. They are still holding 4%. Okay, these are all propaganda. Okay. So
the rest are Buddhists,
and Christians.
Christians. Okay. So anything against Christians and any other minorities?
Yeah, there have been violations against Christian minority also, but not to the extent of they are doing to Rohingya. But it's coming. Okay. Once they can eliminate it, according to the nationalist extremist policy of the government and the radical elements in the country, once they eliminate Muslim population, particularly Rohingya, which has the stronghold with their culture, identity, language, all the attributes.
What's their language?
Rohingya language.
Rohingya. Okay.
Rohingya language.
But they also speak good Urdu, though.
Rohingya language is saturated with Urdu.
Okay.
Urdu, because most of the Rohingya words are Urdu.
Okay.
Okay, and Farsi and some Arabic. Okay. A little bit Bengali, not very much.
Right.
Although it may be structured in the way that southern, not Bengali. Bengali language is different than southern Chittagong, Bangladesh language that Chittagong language may be a little bit in there, but primarily
and the
Urdu.
Culture is closer to what?
Culture is closer to Rohingya.
Okay.
Rohingya culture.
Okay,
we have our own culture, okay?
Excellent, okay.
But we are people of South Asia, remember that. We are people of South Asia, so we have India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, they are close nearby countries.
The food, music.
So we got something from them. And then Burma, Burmese, Chinese, Oriental, that feature there, we got something from this. We're kind of mixed. But our appearance, most Rohingya will appear Southeast Asian, look like a Pakistan, India type, and Middle Eastern appearance. Some Rohingya may appear Oriental, but less.
Right.
So this is so Rohingya people have their own attributes, culture. I must to stress this. These Rohingya people are very different from the rest of the Muslims in central Burma, who are the offspring generations of immigrants from India.
Okay.
Okay, so those immigrants during British time, railroad workers and industrialists and the merchants and traders and businessmen came and flooded Burma during that. The way the Indians are going to Dubai now, and they will go to Middle East
Rangoon,
now. Rangoon, Rangoon they used to go, and the Nehru government can expel almost all of them. So they shipped back to all the Indians, but there are some remnants left. Because that cross intermarriage.
They shipped all those Indians back
to India.
Mostly Muslims. When did that happen?
In 62, 63, mid-60s,
okay.
After he took power in Newing. And then there are some remnants left, which are interbred with local Burmese, and they're called Myanmar Muslims. So they are still good Muslims. Myanmar Muslims are there, living there, but they do not have their own language like Rohingya has.
Okay.
They do not have their own cultural attributes.
So they kind of assimilated.
They are assimilated to the Burmese culture. Though these are Myanmar Muslims.
So they don't have any issues?
They have issues now. They didn't used to have issues when Burmese government was trying to eliminate Rohingya population past 50 years. But now, since 2012, and the violence is spread toward all the Muslims in Myanmar, including Myanmar Muslims. So these are two different things. I might want to say...
Are they distinct looking? Can they...
They look like Indians. They look like Indians.
Okay.
They look like Indians. These are not all Muslims. The Myanmar Muslims are there, but Indians, so the Indian came, they are not only Muslims, they are Hindus, they are all other...
So because of their looks, they can, even the Hindus or the other religious minorities can also be persecuted.
Hindus are not persecuted, they are less numbers. Also because Muslims, they are targeting Muslim who with the religion, purity of religion. So Muslim and Christian have been targeted, but Christians, their problem is Kachin state and Kaying state and others, but not to the kind of problem we are having now. Once Myanmar government, as I said earlier, once Myanmar radicals eliminate Rohingya people completely, they will go after Christians.
Yeah. Dr. Waqar, you go to, you see lots of US officials, and like you said, there was a resolution passed in US Congress, and then I met you at this Eid reception at the State Department. So you have, quite good interaction with the US authorities. What's their response to this issue? I mean, how they're tackling it? They're trying to build relations with the Burmese, and now Myanmar actually and America, they have closer relations. So how that's playing into the overall equation?
American government is taking a lead on the Rohingya issue with OIC. Let's not forget, OIC is the backbone of Rohingya issue now. OIC has done a lot of work for Rohingya internationally along with US government. So let me go to US government first, and then President Obama went into Burma and spoke of Rohingya, and they took the name Rohingya and asked directly to the eyes, to the Burmese people, and looked at the eyes of President Thein Sein and said, these people should have dignity like you have, like I have.
Did that make a difference?
Oh yeah, well, that made a difference because of that Myanmar government got the message, and that resonated throughout the world. And US President talking about Rohingya issue, US Congress talking about the issue, State Department officials have been working relentlessly about Rohingya issue. So, but they are putting pressure on the Myanmar government. But these are diplomatic. They are not well publicized in the media. So we have to remember
back channel
diplomacy. But pressure
probably more helpful.
And the U.S. government also has participated, sided with OIC in United Nations General Assembly. I have been attending United Nations General Assembly last 4 years, and we have Rohingya resolutions, consensus resolution, did not require any vote.
Unanimous.
Unanimous, and Myanmar government even did not object last year. Okay, and U.S. government is with us.
They did not.
They did not object. They don't have ground. Didn't have ground. So we have resolutions passed, and this fall we will have again UNGA General Assembly will be working on Rohingya issue, and we had United Nations Human Rights Council in Geneva last 4, 5, 6 years. We have resolutions. They are strong resolution. This year, in 29 resolution, a couple of months ago, was the strongest resolution we had for the cause of Rohingya. Internationally, it's very, very the issue is very hot.
How about the European Union?
European Union is also good, but there are a little bit issue with them because they have business interests. They want to deal with Myanmar government differently. They have lifted sanctions. They want to go and invest. Norway, for example, is the one problematic. Germany, so the British is still okay. European Union has been a little bit more lenient with Myanmar government, but that put U.S. government in a difficult position because now U.S. government companies, U.S. companies and corporations want to do business with Myanmar government as pressuring the Obama administration that local Europeans are there. We are falling behind.
So let me ask you this question, Dr. Waqar. Yes, in 2010, on a scale from 1 to 10, the problem was at 10, let's suppose. So with the international intervention, with the US government's interest in the issue, where do you see the problem? Has it improved? Has it come down on the scale? And if it has, where do you see it right now?
Yeah. Now, you asked about Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh fits into this. Pakistan is a strong supporter of Rohingya. Alhamdulillah, we're very fortunate that Pakistan government, all forces in Pakistan, opposition, and every factor is supporting Rohingya issues. And Her Excellency Ambassador Lodi, Dr. Lodi, has been very active in United Nations on Pakistan on Rohingya issue. So we feel very fortunate that Pakistan, people of Pakistan, and government of Pakistan has sided with us, stood by us.
Before I wrap, because I have to wrap up right now, I don't have time.
Indian one, I want to say Indian.
But where do you see the problem now, on a scale of 1 to 10? If it was on 10 at the height, now where do you see it? It has improved.
It has improved. A problem worse 10, I can call it 9 because the violence
right now
violence has stopped. Okay.
No, where are you right now on the scale?
9.
9? It's still 9?
It's still 9.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So,
why I dropped 1? Why it's not 10? Okay. Because violence and burning villages has stopped. But all other basic violations, human rights violations, and nothing else has stopped.
Okay. So it's good to know that there's still a lot to do about this issue.
If you have time in your program, I want to mention the green card and pink card issue. Myanmar government is playing card again with verification. That's very crucial. They are pressuring Rohingya people to call themselves Bengali. Okay, this is a critical issue that, if I may have 1 minute, Myanmar government is pressuring Rohingya that you cannot call Rohingya yourself, you have to call Bengali. Why? Why they want to do that? So that all the human rights violations currently taking place can be legitimized. Calling these people Bengali, that means what? Illegal Bengali immigrants. That means you will not
They'll
get
give
your
them
rights.
some legal grounds to expel them. Okay, thank you very much. Unfortunately, we're out of time. I wish we could talk about this a little bit longer and more deeper, but we're just out of time. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Cafe DC. I'm Faiz Rahman in Cafe DC. See you next week.